broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to the AfterBuzz show for Blood and Oil. We're on Season 1, Episode 2, The Ripple Effect. I'm your host, Grant Rutter, and I am co-hosting alongside...
Hey guys, Lauren Salaun here. Week 2, here we go.
Lauren, what'd you think?
I thought this episode was pretty intense. A lot of drama continuing from last week. I liked it a lot, but I did feel like there were some moments that kind of fell flat a little, or some.
Yeah, I think it kind of bowed. Yeah, I think it kind of bowed in the middle. Mm-hmm. The beginning was great. It picked up right where we left off. I love when shows do that. It's not like we flash forward a week later and everyone's healed and they're still trying to figure everything out. We're like right in the heat of it, and then of course the end where things pick up. I feel like it's almost like a formula for these ABC shows.
Yeah,
I feel like they kind of all go that way. I don't know. Let's talk about it. So we picked up right where we left off, as I mentioned. Wick takes off in the truck. He doesn't know if he's safe or not, but he sees this cool explosion. They had some good effects in this episode. Yeah, overall. I think it helped the slow-mo and that it was at night.
Yes, very dramatic.
Yeah.
The spark, when that spark falls and hits the oil, was a really cool moment, I think. Because it not only shows, like, obviously there's oil around, but how powerful and how dangerous that can be.
I think Billy is too involved. I mean, would you be bothered, throwing yourself in the oil to save somebody like that?
I mean, he's got, like, the guy who runs the world, basically, who's all buddy-buddy with him and taking him under his wing. So probably Billy wants to kiss as much booty as possible with that situation. So
Hap has second-degree burns, and he claims, he says, he owes Billy for jumping in, after the gunman. Again, a big move. And he's putting out a bounty of $50,000 to find out more information. And, it's smart. And that pretty much kicks off the whole episode right there. Of course, then he says the guy has a shoulder burn.
Yes.
So everyone's looking out for this guy on the shoulder. Go to look at burn victims. Go look as much as you can.
He tells Tip, the sheriff, he's like, he had a pretty bad burn on his shoulder, so check any burn units. Like, if anyone's got a bad burn, that's our guy.
Yeah. Instantly, Wick is like, he's feeling the residual effects from this. He was pretty tough pulling a gun on his own father. Like, I was like, this guy's pretty heartless. But there were the redeeming qualities early on in this episode. But then he stopped having those feelings to have sex.
Yeah. That seems to be the way he deals with a lot of his stress and problems. He's like, hey, Jules, what are you up to? Let's hook up.
I feel like everyone is paired up. And we saw again at the end of the episode with AJ and Lacey. I feel like it's almost like really a little simple for me. It's like, the likely pair is pair up, except, of course, for the twist, which we'll get to in the last act, which was good. So, we'll get there. But I don't know, it's a little matchy match.
Yeah, and it did feel like we're just jumping from one set of, one couple or one character pairing to another.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, well, now it's time to check in with them. So maybe next week have a little spice. Though we did this week see Lacey, Hap's daughter. So we got another kind of character set with Lacey and AJ, the driver.
I like her. Mm-hmm. I don't know enough about him yet, but I like her.
Right. I like her too. She's fiery, a little feisty, and sasses Carla hardcore, but also really loves her family. So I liked her. She's a good introduction, I think, this week.
When Jules ran into Wick right away, she's like, you should tell him. You should go and see him. And it seemed like Wick kind of hung out for a minute. Like, he was almost, like, really, like, not too sure how he was going to handle the situation. But mean, she was right. He has to go and address it. And I liked the moment where he came over there and they had that genuine family moment. You could see as an actor, that actor was just, playing out all the beats in his mind of what one would go through when they pull a gun on their father and create a $1 million mistake.
Yeah. Now, when you were watching that, so when Wick came to the house, when Hap's hurt and stuff, and and they're going to kind of console him, make sure everything's okay, did you think that because he acted very upset about the whole situation, did you think in that moment that he was feeling actually remorseful and bad, realizing kind of the effects of that he did something really stupid and he could have killed his dad and he feels bad about it? Or do you think he was kind of faking it? Like, how did you read that situation?
I think he feels bad. Yeah. And I would like it to be the opposite, because I like the drama and I like, these like feuds, and that's what these shows should and are built on. But I really do feel, because of the way it was arranged, with the kind of the family moment, having the sister back in the picture, and they were all kind of just the family unit huddled outside, I was like, I don't know, I believed it.
Yeah.
Did you?
Initially I thought it was a little fishy, I was like, I don't know if I buy it completely. I think he might be just kind of acting like he feels bad. But then as that scene went on, I felt like I bought it more. I think he sold it much better. And I do think ultimately he was being sincere, especially given how he reacts later in the episode and like at the family dinner, which we saw later, those moments, I think you could see it.
And it's Hap and is married to Carla, as we learned in this episode. I believe last week I called her Darla. Sorry about that.
Well, that's kind of our fault, because, well, not our fault completely, but IMDb has it listed as Darla Briggs with a D. So.
Oh well.
IMDb.
Okay, I'm not gonna take all that.
But I believe, I think it is Carla.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, she looks more like a Carla than a Darla, but it's like it's whatever. I love the actress, and I want to see more of her on this episode. So perhaps we will coming up. But when she was around, she was serving good shade.
Oh yes, she was. She was so sassy. Not sassy necessarily, but so like. Meddling.
I feel like I know that type. I feel like I know exactly who she is.
And like smoldering stares.
So they're looking at a list, of both Hap and Carla are looking at this list of who has access to the Nirvana oil field.
They're looking at an employee list, because he's going through all the possible people who could have been involved, because they're certain that it was an inside job, given the codes and the access that they had to have to get into the oil field and take the oil rig, like all that stuff.
What did you think off the bat? Carla's like, well, you have Wick crossed off on this list. She was like, she wasn't all about it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad she said that, obviously, because we know that he did it.
Yeah.
But
smart.
But I did like seeing Hap so quick to defend his son, even though he's wrong. I liked seeing that, because I think in the first episode, we saw him so hard on Wick, which I think he has good reason to be hard on his son, because it doesn't seem like he's given him much reason to kind of have a lot of faith in him as an adult and stuff like that. But I did like seeing him be a little more sympathetic and trusting of his son, even though it's all pointless. So I liked that, to see that. But I think as the episode goes on, that kind of starts to crumble, for sure.
Well, in this moment, Hap kind of calls Carla out and says, like, look, I can see your distaste for my son. You're not hiding it very well. And then now we're introduced to Lacey. I want to know more on why these people have such like a bad relationship with Carla. I want to know more.
That's when Lacey was telling AJ, the driver, about her whole life, and like her mom, who was just like a quick fling with Hap, and how she grew up in LA and then lived with Hap for 6 years. And he's like, oh, well, and then you went to college, right? And she's like, oh no, that's when he married Carla. College came later. So I'm like, okay, what is the big drama like that happened?
What did she do?
Not just her getting married, but something must have happened. So I want to, I want to dig into that more too. See what went on.
Right. I want to shift more towards like, I want to get, that's kind of like the ingredients to a soap, the family dynamic, the history. Give us some flashbacks maybe. I want to get a little more backstory.
Yeah.
So I can invest myself a little bit more. I'm having trouble kind of connecting with some of these characters myself, because I don't know, it's like a lot of of drive-bys and the
Right,
pairings, and now it's these two are on, now these two are on, you know?
Exactly. And even with Lacey, I like her character, but she was making jabs at Carla the entire time. And we've seen Carla is pretty manipulative and conniving, so it's not like we have a ton of sympathy for her getting like a few jabs thrown at her. But at the same time, Lacey being so like on her for every little thing. I'm like, girl, relax. You look really immature right now.
It's a little bitchy.
Yeah. So knowing more of the story there will help us be like, oh yeah, you tell her, you know?
Yeah. Well, this doesn't stop Carla from getting on her horse and go finding the sheriff and kind of dropping really quick, like, you know, he was recently fired, go check it out. And that really gets the ball rolling. So it's her who hit that first die, you know?
As she should, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I like a manipulative bitch. So good for
Especially
her.
because she's right.
Yes. And she's the smartest one, right? Can we say that at this point? Because, like, we'll get to a point in a minute. But because there's something I want to ask you, but we're not farther enough in our recap yet. We'll get there in a minute. So let's talk about the moment where Billy and Hap went to this country club. It looks like an invitation only, as we learned.
Yeah, I know. A fancy, like, invite only, members only club.
Yeah. It looked comfy, but it didn't look
it's a gentleman's
glamorous.
club.
Yeah. It was like more like a lodge.
Yeah.
Like a high-end lodge. We're not talking about like, you know,
camping.
Something simple.
Lodge.
So they're meeting with this man who explains to them basically that it's going to cost them at $25,000 a gallon. They have to replenish that, and then they have to also replace the $250,000 oil tank, totaling almost $1 million.
Right. Yeah. So the guys from the insurance company, basically. So that's like their deductible, essentially, or replacement cost or whatever. Yeah.
That's a lot of money. I mean, but in oil, though, at the same time, like, I'm surprised that they had such a reaction to that, because Hap was pissed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know how exactly it works with your insurance policy when something like that happens, but you would think that if in a robbery situation, you know, you would think that you should get all that back, you know?
Right.
You shouldn't have to be out $850,000 of your own money.
See, my thing is we're led to believe in the first episode that they can, like, they make so much money that they don't pick up loose change. That's why they have the oil burning. Millionaires are made every day there. And so to me, it's like, to worry about that when you're Hap Briggs, who's such like the center of the town and he's the big man on campus. It's like, you know, I don't know why it was such a severe reaction, but I guess the rich don't like to lose money.
No.
Because that's how they stay rich.
That's how they stay rich and how they got rich, by not throwing away their money, especially when it's not his fault, you know, that situation. So I love how he asked Billy, okay, so what would you do? Testing him, you know, because there's all this, like, you know, he's kind of tailoring him to, like, following his footsteps to a certain extent. And he's his new little, like, favorite little puppy following him around. And Billy gives him exactly the answer that he would have wanted to hear.
All over
you know,
it
like,
already.
I would own your own insurance company, you know, vertical integration, own all the pieces of the pie, and then it's okay if that's not okay if that sort of thing happens, but then you're not out
there you go
all that money because you control the whole operation, which was super smart. He's like, oh, you read my mind. Finish the deal.
Yeah, exactly. Already
now I'm
done
your
it.
boss.
Yeah, already did it. Too bad. Yeah. So that was a kind of a cool moment. That was the moment for Billy really to shine in this episode. And of course, we know he loves those moments where he can impress Hap. I'm really surprised though how tight those two are.
I know.
Because doesn't he have like other partners and
but I think it's also like a fun thing for Hap too.
I think so, fresh.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, Hap's son is kind of a screw up, as we see. So I think it's fun for him in that regard to have kind of this like son of sorts, which, you know, it's not like he's going to replace Wick with Billy or anything like that, but I think he's having fun in that sense. But then I think also he's like, this young guy probably reminds him of himself when he was young, and he's like, well, let's just like show this guy a good time for a little while, maybe make him a couple $1 million. What's it to me? Whatever, right? You know, but like a thrill kind of.
Yeah, but there was a deal put on the table where he had to put in and invest $500K. So I love how he was like, yeah, you know, I don't really give out any equity in my businesses, but you did kind of save my life. Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, so I'll give it to you for $500,000. What a freaking deal that is.
Right.
I'd be like, really? I'd be like, you wouldn't be breathing at this table if it was for me. I'm not giving you anything.
Yeah. Well, because they only got, last week they only got $1 million for the land, right? Mm-hmm. And then they gave like 50 grand to that friend of theirs, and
we never saw them again.
Yeah, I know. See ya.
Yeah.
So they're running out of this money super fast, which I get that the 500 grand putting it into an insurance company, like that, that's gonna give you money, so it's an investment. But they are so bad with their money. It stresses me out a little.
I had the reaction with let's talk about this real estate scene real quick, and then we'll get there. This Jules girl, she's got a lot going on.
Yeah, is she a realtor? Like, what's her deal? I thought.
Yeah, she said she did it on the side.
Yeah.
But in this business of all these places going for so much money and everyone's trying to move in there, you could do that full time and make bank. What the hell are you doing moving bottles around a garage?
Yeah. Oh, that thing. Can we talk about that a second? Yeah. Because it was so dumb. She literally has this box of wine bottles right there that she has to move into a box 4 feet away, and instead of moving the boxes close together and just putting them right into it, she's like, oh, here, help me out, and like passes them. Like, come on.
An odd direction for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
like,
was a
okay,
real,
I guess you're like, what are you trying to show us? Their bonding, teamwork? I don't know. Or just dumb.
Well, Cody, dumb.
That's what I got out of it.
Well, Cody needs something to do. She wasn't really highlighted in this episode at all, in my opinion. Very underplayed. I want to see her connect with someone. I want to see her part of the business somehow, part of the action.
Yeah, because I feel like even with last week and this week, we see her trying to get Billy to do stuff with her and to listen to her and kind of, validate, like feel validated with the ideas that she has about things that they should do. And then he's like, oh no, I got this other thing going on. And then so she goes and figures something out herself, with getting the job at the pharmacy and, hearing about the land, like all this stuff that she's kind of doing separate of him. And then even with house hunting, because he had to go hang out with Hap. And it does, I do want her to maybe start into something that he might not be involved in or that has a little more kind of meat to it.
Yeah, I want to see her involved in the high stakes of the business.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Or even her own high stakes thing that's not involved with Billy and Hap.
I'd be okay with that. I think we need a few more storylines on the show. Personally, that's my opinion. We want to know your opinion, of course, so you can leave your thoughts and opinions below if you are watching us on YouTube, and if you're on iTunes, please give us 5 stars and give us some feedback over there as well. Are we on the chat roll?
We are on the chat roll, but our connection in here is not terribly good, so it's not loading very well. So if you guys are in the chat roll, chat to us, talk to us, tweet to us.
Yeah, if you tweet to us,
Twitter
if you tweet us, I can see that. But we won't be able to see anything going on in the chat. So we're not ignoring you. We're just, unfortunately not able to be there.
Loading very well.
Right.
Sorry, guys.
No problem.
But keep on having that conversation if you're doing it.
So here we are looking at a $500,000 house, and then there's the $500,000 deal that Hap gives to the dollar amount.
But Jules says that they can offer $250, right? If they offer $250, he'll take it because they just want to get rid of it, sort of thing.
Yeah, which I don't understand why that house was just like kind of a giveaway. If it cost them $1,000, $1,000 a month to live in that motel or whatever it was, then a home with property that's like, not dilapidated or foreclosed upon, it could easily be a lot more expensive if there's that much money. So that was a weird moment. I'm trying to figure out like the way they built this whole, place up to be was that it was just like so wealthy and everything was just going so quick. Everyone was going there. And so the prices, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to work it out in my mind.
Yeah, because $250,000 for a house is not very much.
Not at all.
Those sometimes, property value, what it costs to rent and what it costs to buy can be very different. But that was interesting. But I think Jules made it sound like they wanted to get rid of the property quickly. So, because she had that like very urgent timeline. So she's like, if you offer him half by tomorrow, like he'll take it, sort of thing.
This girl's very busy.
Yeah,
this Jules, she's everywhere. Yeah. and in and out of bed.
Oh, zing.
Well, let's talk about this Clay Spix, who is the man who wants to potentially pick up the oil.
Right.
The stolen oil, as we saw. And, he goes in there, he's like, look, I'm not interested in this deal. It's stolen oil. And the two idiots have Briggs on the truck. Like,
Yeah.
it's so stupid.
And yeah.
Like
Seriously.
it's like obvious. It's like all the signage from the company. So, and then of course there's the reward out there. So these two are really two idiots. I mean, who the hell thinks Dumb and
It was
Dumber?
so dumb. Like, hi, at least cover up the name on the truck.
And not only that, why would they bother putting it in a truck? Wouldn't they put it in barrels? Because they're going to sell the barrels, right?
Well, no, they're just going to unload that truck because they drove off
Yeah.
with the truck. So, like, why go through the extra work of?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you have the name on the side, then
that
would
would be
a
a reason, to go through the extra work, so it's not so clear where it came from.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe they need our help over there because they're not doing a good job.
Yeah.
And clearly things are all screwed up because that Clay character says, look, you guys are worth way more than I can make on this oil. Good idea. So, that's like their first problem right there.
yeah.
The whole thing was very poorly orchestrated. Is it Jerry or Gary?
Gary.
Gary, yeah. He seems to really be a hothead, like fly by the seat of your pants, like not someone you want to do a load to deal with.
I thought in that moment, because they have a little scuffle there, I thought in that moment one of them was going to kill him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh gosh, something. And I think as we're watching, I was like, oh no, something bad's going to happen. Something bad's going to happen.
I thought so too.
I was getting really stressed in that moment, and then it cooled off. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe they don't want to like get too violent or something on the show, but not the case.
Yeah, it'll rear its ugly head later. So yeah, I want to talk about this fight between Billy and Cody that lasted all of 30 seconds about the spending of the money. Now, in my mind, I'm like, she should just leave him because he's gonna be so friggin' tight with Hap. But I forgot that they were pregnant. So I'm like, okay, well they're not, they're gonna have to just work it out. But I mean, I said this last week. I don't think she gets angry enough with him.
No, well, I mean, here's the thing. Both of them, he commits to putting all this money into things without talking to her, and repeatedly, he's done that about 3 times at least in the last 2 weeks. And then she goes off and buys a $500,000 or $250,000 house without talking to him. That whole thing, I'm like, they are terrible at managing their money and handling that. They're going to be bankrupt very quickly because they just throw ton of money at stuff without actually communicating with each other or actually having the money to do that. But then also their communication, like, come on, you guys.
I agree.
You're married. Figure this out.
I know. I don't know. I think it's ridiculous. She picked up the first house she saw. She even take him with her, and she expects that he's going to do it.
Right, and it's hypocritical of her too to get mad at him for spending money. For going and dropping money on things when she's like, oh, a house. I mean, I'm doing it for our family. That doesn't make it okay that you just bought a house without talking to him.
Yeah. It's a little too presumptuous and it's a little too TV. Especially they're like the $500,000 and this is also $500,000.
Yeah.
And
I feel like I chalk it up to the fact that they don't come from having money. They're not used to having money, especially big amounts of money, and they finally like get their hands on a little bit of money and they don't know what to do with it and how to handle it. So they're just like, yeah, we can afford that. How far does $1 million go? Not very far. You're done with it already.
If you're going to invest, not very
You're
far at all.
already done with $1 million.
Yeah. And the motivation for getting a new house is kind of ridiculous because there were people that were drunk outside of where they're staying at 2 p.m. I get it probably isn't the safest place, but if you're going to have an infant, it's not like you're going to have young kids like out like, on a scooter or whatever, like playing around. And they already have we saw last week, they have a nursery built.
She's like a month pregnant. Like, you've got some time, girl.
Yeah, for real though. She's not even showing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was the motivation for getting the new house because there would come some people outside. I mean, lock a door. You're on it. You're upcoming. You just got there.
Yeah.
Like, give it some time. You don't need to figure it out that quick.
They're so impulsive, which I think we've seen. And I don't think either of them. I mean, Cody's always like, well, I'm thinking of the best for our family and this baby, blah, blah, blah. But they're both being really irrational and
I agree.
jumping to the gun on things.
Yes. Well, one party that came up in this episode was the one at Hap's home, and of course Carla was there, and she was looking around. She kept looking at Wick when he was in there, and then Jules was introduced to them, but we learned later that she was pretty well acquainted. So yeah, they had that moment. The party to me fell so flat, and not really necessarily with the writing, but there was like 6 plates on like a coffee table with like hors d'oeuvres.
It was like, yeah, like a family dinner, and of course, you know, there's tension with Billy and Wick, and I like Billy's little jabs at him too, you know. I like that kind of fighting going on.
Yeah, I do like a feud.
Yeah. But then Wick one-ups the whole situation with introducing Jules for sure.
I wasn't too impressed with this party. I just expect bigger.
But
If
it
they're
wasn't
supposed
like
to
a
have
big
so much
party. It was just
money-
like a family,
Yeah, I don't know.
kind of a casual dinner, I feel like.
And of course Billy and Cody got invited to this, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it's like they're their social life now. You know, they do everything together. Yeah, it's a little too close, and it's a little like unrealistic to me that this big man would keep, you know. It's one thing to like share a couple scenes or take him to lunch, but it's like every time they get together for everything.
It's weird that it seems like I think this is kind of the family dinner with the kids in town, you know. Lacey's in town and she doesn't come back there very often. You know, she lives in California, so it's time for Lacey, Wick, Hap, Carla, you know, for them to get together and spend time with each other, you know, after this big accident and stuff that happened. And so it does seem weird for Hap to have invited Cody and Billy.
Yeah, it's just
but I get, you
add
know,
into
for the
orbit.
storyline, you know, to why they did it, but it does seem a little
odd,
forced.
Yeah. Carla kind of looks at Wick. She has a little moment there. And I'm wondering, does Carla know? Does she know that it's him and is just waiting for the pieces to fall? You know, for everything to match up, so she doesn't convict anybody in herself.
Oh, I think so for sure.
Yeah, I think she knows, and I want to know: does Hap know at this point too? Because he is looking at him, and then he catches that phone call.
That phone call, I think, does it, and he puts his hand on his shoulder too, and he's like, "Oh, what'd you?" And he's like, "Ah," you know, he's like, "What'd you do?" Like, "Oh, when you pushed me in the mud, Dad, I tweaked my shoulder." He's like, and that's where that seat, you know. I think where it turns for Hap. And he's really become suspicious. And like, oh, maybe wife is onto something here.
Yeah, I think they know. What do you think?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
By the end of the episode, I for sure think they do. I think Carla's going with her gut on it and is right. I think she's good at reading people, and especially with the art of deception and being able to sniff it out when someone else is doing it. But I think
The Art of Deception. I love you said that. That was a soap opera I wrote. I wrote a soap opera called The Art of Deception. So I love that you said that.
Well, you're welcome.
It's not a real thing. Don't look it up. But yeah.
But and I think Hap's coming that direction too, for sure. Especially, by the end, I think he's like, "Dang it, my boy! My boy tried to kill me."
Yeah, but I'm hoping he's going to be smart about it and find a way to use it to his advantage as opposed to just getting in a fight.
Right.
You know, use that information and pull that card out of your back pocket when you need it.
Right, and not confront him in a situation where he's like outnumbered with Gary and Wick and in a dark alley somewhere. You know, does it intelligently so it can actually happen. But, you know, if he does it in a stupid way, then there's more drama. So we'll see.
Now, one moment that caught me with kind of a question mark was when Lacey and AJ kissed in the hallway, and then, of course, Carla's looking on with her big bottle of champagne or wine or whatever, which I love that she was just in the right place at the right time. But, I don't know. I don't feel like, I mean, obviously there's more to come and there's more to play out, but I don't really know those two enough to really, like, connect with that. And, and I don't know what that means yet, so we'll have to stay tuned.
Right, and we saw some, you know, a little heat between them when she was trying on dresses for dinner and stuff like that. You know, he's like, "Oh no, I'll stay here in the shop while you're getting ready. Like, no big deal." And you know, there's an attraction there. I felt like it was a little soon or a little forced, but I definitely saw it going there. Yeah, me too. It's like another pairing. Yeah. You know, the same age group, they're together. He saw her in her bra. Let's go. You know, I mean, it's like kind of paint by numbers a little bit. Yeah. And I hate to say that, but you know. But now Carla's got something on on Lacey. So we'll see
Yeah.
how she decides to use that.
I like it. I like her. I like
it.
to see what she's going to do. And then let's talk about the dinner. Real quick, I skipped over it, but Billy basically told Hap, look, I'm not going to do it. I have to take care of other things. Family matters or whatever like that.
Right.
And so he sided with Cody, which was a nice moment, but I don't know. I think it kind of ends things where they could have really taken that in a direction where it's like, look, you don't support me, you make your own decisions without me, like you're up his butt, like, you know what I mean? Like they could like really go with that.
Yeah.
And
but again, like instead of having that announcement at the table in front of everyone before talking to Cody about it, like have the conversation with her because she also backed out of doing the house with Jules. So it's like, hey, you guys, just talk about these things together.
I know. You'll try to showboat in front of everybody and in front of, like, you know, some cheese on a plate. I mean, it's not even a big deal. It's like...
Right?
Yeah, I think they really need to communicate or something.
Grow up a little.
It's a little TV for me. Because I feel like a regular couple wouldn't do that. They wouldn't, like, you know... And the wife wouldn't back down from getting the house either, I don't think.
No,
I think she'd be like,
not.
you know what? No. I don't think it would be as easy
in
that situation.
But I think with both of those actions, both of them kind of backing out of the situation is done in a way to make us feel very sympathetic toward them and to like them a lot and to realize, oh, they love each other so much that she's willing to like let go of this dream of having this pretty house, you know, for him.
Right.
He's willing to like let go of this business venture and this, you know, big investment for her. Like, oh, so sweet. But then all I'm thinking is like, they have terrible communication and
it's not
poor
real life.
money management skills. So
yeah, I mean, it's great storybook, but it's not real life.
no, I'd like to see them handle things a little more practically.
Yes, I agree. Well, Hap and Wick are there, and then the sheriff comes in, makes for a moment of confrontation, and of course Wick is like, like, oh, you know what, like, I'm sunk. And then they go to where the what was it, the big rig, or no, not the rig, the truck. Go ahead.
Before we get to that, because Wick's like down having like a dark moment by himself by the little creek, and Hap happens to just be right there, right behind him. He's like, oh, I didn't notice you were there, Pop. And Hap confronts him about telling him where he was at the night of the fire. And I thought this was going to be the slipping point because Wick tells him a different story than what he told the sheriff.
True.
And so part of me at that point was like, oh, I wonder if Hap already asked the sheriff what he said and he knows the answer. And then he's going to be like, well, that's not what sheriff said. He told him, gotcha. And how's your shoulder? Grabs it again.
You should be writing for this show, my
Right?
friend.
Hey, guys.
I like it. Yeah, no, I thought it was going to be a revealing moment, too.
Yeah.
And then when the sheriff came, I thought that the sheriff was going to kind of be there to, like, arrest him. And it was all going to be a setup.
I thought there was going to be a big setup, too. Yeah.
And then they went, and then that guy, Clay Spix, was dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. All right.
Yeah, that was up the stakes.
Yeah.
Gary.
Oh, Gary's an idiot.
Yeah.
Don't do business with him.
No.
What a jerk.
Well, because now Wick's kind of screwed too.
Yeah.
They were like in on this together. Obviously, he had nothing to do with killing him, but he's associated with the whole situation, so it's hard to weasel your way out of that one.
Yeah.
Now.
It does set up for more jeopardy by them not revealing everything today and having, Wick, being revealed as the shooter. So, it's interesting nonetheless. I want to know what's going to happen coming up. But when it comes to that moment, Wick said, "Oh yeah, we're done now, Dad. You're good. We're all set. It's all taken care of." And then the sheriff's like, "Well, now I have a murder to look into." So
well, and we rewound this moment a few times because Hap checks Spink's shoulder when he's on the ground, and I couldn't completely tell if there was something there, but it didn't look like there was a burn there. And I think Hap realized that, and he looks at Wick after that, like, oh, this isn't the guy because the shoulder situation. And I know your shoulder hurts.
Yeah, just because there's someone there that's dead doesn't necessarily mean that that's the man that did it.
Right.
I could have swore his last name was the other last name that I was speaking.
I did too
I
at
looked,
first.
yeah.
I did too at
Okay,
first.
I looked at
It's
the-
okay. I was
I
like,
looked
they
at-
could not name him that. That
I
is
said the
so
same thing.
Rude.
And I know, and I even looked at the subtitles. So like, forgive me, but that's
We
what I
said
thought.
some derogatory terms.
Well, not
It was a
intentionally.
mistake.
Oh well, sorry.
Missed one letter.
I know. I didn't realize that. I must be all red.
It's just
I'm
the lighting.
actually pretty hot,
It's
to
the
be
light.
honest with you.
It is warm in here today.
Yeah. So we saw that AJ's taking photos. Oh, let's rack it up. Hold on. There was the moment where it was revealed that Hap has engaged in sexual activity with Jules.
Yes, I know. Jules. Jeez, Louise.
This was her episode. She was all over it.
Yeah, I know. Answers the door in a nightie. I thought it was going to be Wick being like, oh, Gary did this thing, and now I need to have sex with you to take my mind off of it.
yeah.
Like, that's what I thought was happening. But, oh no, it's Hap, and they used to hook it, apparently, and he, like, forcefully kisses her.
Yeah, they have a
and
history.
she goes for it, too. And then he's like, never talk to my son again, and goes out there. He's, like, so, like,
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah.
He's like a nice guy, very political, but then like you do not want to mess with him.
I like it. It shows a different side to him.
I love it.
An edge that and you know, he's supposed to be this, like I said, this big man on campus. So it's like, I want him to be like, I want to see, like, you know, all these big, you know, executives and industrialists.
Yeah.
They all have a dark side to them on these shows, you know, like
Exactly.
Victor Newman on The Young and the Restless, or, you know, they all are like a little, you know, have their sides to them, when
yeah.
they, you know, that are revealed along, you know, along the way. So now we see that he's like, you know, he may be married to Carla, and what's Carla gonna do?
Well, yeah, who knows? And the interesting, he confronts Jules and says like, "Oh, you have no feelings for my son. You're just doing this to, you know, get back at me or something like that."
Yeah,
which,
so stay away from him.
yeah. So I'm curious what her motives are for being with Wick, because it's clear that she does everything very intentionally, you know, and I feel like she's one that's always scheming too. So
Yeah.
So we will see what's up Jules' sleeves.
And then AJ takes photos of him leaving. So we
Wick.
don't know what we're gonna do with that.
Which is very interesting because AJ was in a different car, obviously. Like
Yeah.
AJ's his driver. So now I'm confused because is AJ, you know, is he like undercover in some context, trying to
Probably.
uncover fraud maybe with
Maybe he's
Hap's
in a good
business?
He's in a good place because he's staying on the property too.
Yeah.
So he's
Or did Carla hire him to be like, oh, I think Hap's like doing some girl,
Yeah.
like go follow him around sort of thing. Like,
Yeah.
who hired him? Why is he doing this? That's what I'm curious about.
One other moment I want to point out is that moment they had where Lunderman came back and basically came
yeah.
after Billy and was like, "You betrayed me in so many words.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do business with them." And he tells him, "You've done business with the devil."
Yeah, you're in bed with the devil now, son. Which just wait. We're gonna see it, I think.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good like omen for what's
Yeah,
to come because I do. I want
definitely.
to see that maybe this is not a worthy investment after all. It could be, you know, a downward spiral. So, well, with that, we'll have to look forward and predict.
Yeah. Okay. Predictions. Ooh, thank you.
And now, your
yeah.
AfterBuzz
Yep.
TV predictions.
Okay. So. Oh, that keeps going. I think we're gonna get something's gonna materialize with Carla having seen Lacey and AJ kiss in the hallway. I think she's gonna use that in some way because I don't think that
hope so.
Lacey's gonna be around the whole season. I mean, I could have looked it up on IMDb. Let's see how many episodes. Oh no, she's gonna be around the rest of the season. So
Good. I like her.
yeah, I like her too. So she'll be here the rest of the season, all episodes. And so maybe Carla will hold on to that a little bit longer because she's not going to be jetting back to California anytime soon. But I feel like Carla's going to use that next week.
Right. I wonder if they're going to pair Lacey up with Cody as maybe doing some type of business together. To kind of draw that parallel.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
could work.
Cody and Jules.
Yeah, they were making friends.
Yeah,
in this
with the
episode.
wine, the unnecessary wine passing and boxing.
If only it was that easy to make friends with people.
Here, help me out.
So stupid. So it looks like to me next week, Wick and Jules are going to be kind of on the rocks, and Hap's inserting himself right in the middle of it. It looks like it's going to be pretty soapy with that. And he tells his son he needs to end things with her. So I wonder where that's going to be coming from. Like, what will prompt him to?
Oh, gosh. I wonder if he's going to have to spill the beans and be like, because I did her first. Hey-o.
Yeah.
Ew.
I don't know.
Oh, gosh. Can you imagine? Please don't.
Yeah,
don't.
I wrote down that those two have a history / chemistry, and I was like, well, I don't know if they have a chemistry. It was kind of an odd scene.
Yeah.
She was all over him, though. So,
I know.
who knows? Oh, well, where can we keep the conversation going on social media?
All right, guys. You can find me on Twitter at Lauren Salaun. That's LaurenSalaun.
And you guys can find me over on Twitter at Grants__rants. And you can find me on my podcast, Grants Rants Hollywood Talk, on iTunes and Stitcher. That'll do it for us, for Blood and Oil.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.